We're back. What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What Am I Doing podcast with me, your host, Donnie Berry. So, we're back. Guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back in the mother house with a big fat for your motherfucking mouth? I blurped out the wrong part. So we're back due to overwhelming popular demand. I'm back with more episodes. I guess part of that is true. And also, I had a couple of guests lined up, and it just now worked out that they were available. So it's in alignment with May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. I just thought we'd at least do 2 or 3 more episodes to get us through the month of May. I do want to say, as always, I feel like a broken record, but truly, truly, thank you all so much. I get so many messages on Instagram, on Facebook, text messages, phone calls from so many of you telling me how much you appreciate the podcast and how much either something I say resonates with you or just I resonate with you or whatever the case may be. What I'm doing makes an impact in some of your lives. So it may sound a bit melodramatic, but it makes me feel good that you all are liking the stuff I'm putting out. Because this is a lot of work. Now that I have completed the 5 episodes I originally committed to, I'm like, is this sustainable? The reality is that this is hard. It's hard. It's hard for me. I wish that I was this perfect little, I don't know. I guess this is the thing, right? Like, my perception is that people make it look so easy and so effortless. And like, now that I've done it, it is a lot of work. You know, I'm the on-air talent. I'm the producer. I'm the segment writer. I'm the cameraman. I'm the lighting expert. I'm the digital editor, which, speaking of digital editing, last week, the episode was late because I was having such an issue with CapCut and downloading the footage to my computer, edited, and then uploading it to the channels I needed. It was taking forever for CapCut to export my footage. And I guess it was because the video file was too long. I shoot in 4K, which is cute. You know, everything is 4K now. But I guess it takes a lot of memory and a lot of power to process these large video files that I inevitably do of me just talking nonstop. So it's a lot of editing. It's a lot of combing through footage. It's a lot of me trying to make sense and tell a story. Like, I can go in with one thing and then I get on a tangent and then I, finish the thought that I started 10 minutes ago over here. So again, this is not anything new, but to reiterate how much respect I have for full-time content creators, I'm trying to learn how to do it in a way that's sustainable. So moving forward for this podcast, after I get these next 2 to 3 episodes pushed out, I don't know what the future holds. I mean, I know this is definitely fun, but I don't know how sustainable it is, which let me also remind you all, or tell you all for those who don't know, I'm doing all of this while I don't have a job. And I'm finding it difficult to do when I don't have any other commitments. And your boy's running out of cash. So this has been cute and everything, but I have to get a job that pays to fund this. So I don't know what that's going to look like. So maybe it'll be I put out an episode every other week. Maybe it'll be I put an episode out once a month. Maybe it means I forego the video component and just do audio. I don't know. But all of that to be transparent with you and to let you know that I do enjoy doing this. I love this little creative baby that I've pushed out, but it's a lot of work and I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, you know? Speaking of pushing out babies, creative babies, I'm filming this on Sunday, May 11th, 2025, which is Mother's Day. So shout out to all the incredible mothers out there. Also major shout out to all of the mother-like figures, all of the nurturers, and especially for all of those people that Mother's Day feels gross and yucky and sad and complicated. And, maybe you want kids, but you can't have kids. Or maybe you don't want kids and you feel some type of way. Like you feel fine not having kids, but you're like, well, damn, why is everyone pressuring me to have kids? I don't want kids. Maybe you have a strained relationship with your mother. Maybe you don't have a mother. Maybe you never had a mother. Maybe you have a mother and you don't want the mother that you have. It's complicated, So all of that to say, sending love to any and everyone who doesn't feel great on this day and doesn't really feel like celebrating. As many of you know, my mom has passed away and my grandma passed away too many years ago. And so I think this is the first year that I'm just kind of letting myself feel whatever comes up. And I don't know what I'm feeling. I guess a little listless. I'm also coming out of a depressive episode, which is helpful. So my baseline feels good. So even though I feel a little sad, I don't feel nearly as sad as I felt a couple of weeks ago. Which, perfect segue, according to my therapist, she thinks maybe I was feeling so sad because it was my mom's birthday. And, that speaks to the mental health component of so often, so many of us are feeling things that we might not be able to name, and we just know we don't feel good. I'll speak for myself. I won't say we, I'll say me. Sometimes I feel things that I can't name, and it just looks like sadness and depression and loss of energy. And here's this thing I do that normally brings me a lot of joy and I'm normally excited about, but I can't do it. I can't even get out of bed. So I guess a reminder to you, a reminder to me, hopefully maybe to you through me, that if you too are feeling some type of way and you're having these feelings come up that you can't quite name, meeting yourself with compassion, because I'm trying to meet myself with compassion when I'm not feeling my best. So there's that. Anyway, so sending love to any and everyone, all the mothers, all the wonderful ladies out there, all of the individuals that identify as ladies, because yes, we are inclusive in this space. I just hope everybody was able to find some morsel of joy, and just thank you to all of those incredible nurturers, teachers, supporters, protectors that really push our society and our humanity forward in really positive, amazing ways. Who run the world, girls? Who run the world, girls? Who run the world, girls? Speaking of Beyonce, I feel like I have not talked to you guys about my experience at the Cowboy Carter tour. It was amazing. It was life-changing. At some point in time, when I was in the middle of that show, I was watching her perform, and I was watching all the dancers, and I was watching all the musicians, and I'm like, that's it. I'm getting on a diet. I'm getting my shit together. Like, it's just so inspirational for me to see somebody up there on stage putting on such a show. Also, too, like the vocals, it just continues to boggle my mind that someone can get up there and just sing with such incredible vocal agility and such power and do it all while dancing, I'll get off my Beyonce tangent in a minute, but so many people that I feel like are Beyonce haters or just are so critical of musicians have no idea what it's like to get up and perform. They have no idea all of the hard work and effort that goes into putting on a show and entertaining people and just the entire team of people that it takes to put on a production. The fact that anyone can get up and put on a concert, be it a giant stadium tour like it's SoFi, or even if it's a little frickin' karaoke night performance, it takes balls, it takes courage, it takes talent, it takes grit. And I feel like people should really look at anyone who gets up and puts their heart into something and puts themselves on a stage, be it a literal stage in an arena or an intimate stage via camera. People should have respect for that because it takes a lot and it's not an easy thing to do. So I guess I'm giving myself kudos, but I'm also giving all of the people who are brave and vulnerable and put themselves out there in whatever capacity they do it. Cheers to you, because it's not easy, Mental health. I have been doing a lot of comparing and despairing this week. I get sucked into the trap of social media, and it's such a mind fuck because conceptually, intellectually, I get it, right? Instagram is a highlight reel. I know it's a highlight reel for me. I put all my fun and exciting moments. I try to put my less exciting moments just to bring some humanity and authenticity to it. But it's a highlight reel. For me, even when I look at it, it is an online album. It's a website of sorts, you know? But here I am still looking at people on Instagram and just comparing and despairing, you know? There's this one guy I follow who I think is so cute, and he has a good job, and he's just like aesthetically good looking, and he has a nice full head of hair, and he's like in shape, and he's tan, and he has nice tattoos, and looks like he just got a really fancy car, and it looks like he loves his job, and he looks young. I don't know how old he is, but he looks young. And I'm like, damn, well, why don't I have that, you know? And it's so hard to find the balance between feeling my feelings, being honest with myself, honoring my feelings, and accepting this is how I feel in the moment, but also not getting like sucked into the tornado of thinking this person is better than me or comparing, you know? And I don't know. I don't know how to wrap that up in a pretty little bow, but I guess for this week, what's been coming up for me is like feeling the feelings and still being nice to myself, you know, offering myself grace and compassion. And well, I guess I just answered my question. That's what I've been doing this week. Feeling the feelings, feeling uncomfortable, having to sit with maybe I didn't eat the best this week, or I didn't exercise this much this week, or I was in a depressive episode, so I'm feeling blah and I'm coming out of it. Not focusing in on all of my shortcomings and instead just offering myself grace and compassion. Because oftentimes when I say that, again, it's just from like an intellectual standpoint, like, oh, of course, sure. I give myself love and compassion and I meet myself with grace. The reality is a lot of times I don't do that. And I'm so mean to myself on the inside. So this week, I really do feel like in a new way, I wasn't just talking about it, I was being about it. I really was loving myself through all of these moments that I wasn't feeling great about myself. And yeah, just like this boy I follow on Instagram, okay, I'm not 20 something and in shape and driving a fancy car. And I mean, he made a post about like being thankful to his friend because his friend just got him a new financial advisor. And I'm like, oh, you got a financial advisor? Like you have so much money to give to have a financial advisor? Whatever. As I'm here looking at my bank account, you know, going broke, making YouTube podcasts. I do know that just because someone's life looks better doesn't mean that it feels better. However, my anxiety does not care about that nuance. Like, yes, I know that we are two different fruits in the produce aisle. He's like an organic dragon fruit that's going to be put in an acai bowl, and I'm just a bruised banana. But as I say that, you know, listen, somebody needs that dragon fruit for something, but somebody is going to need that bruised banana for something. A banana bread, honey, a banana muffin. Maybe they just like the taste of a higher sugar concentrated banana that's a little brown. So I do need to remind myself that there is someone shopping for a bruised banana. Honey, I just hope they come and get me from the store before I rot. But what I'm doing this week is feeling that, looking at them, realizing that's my perception of them, and they may be all of these things I'm seeing, and they may not be all of these things I'm seeing. But I am who I am right now in this moment. And for once in this moment, I truly am offering myself grace and compassion, and I'm loving myself through it. And I'm saying, okay, Donnie, ciao, here we are. And it is what it is. We feel what we feel. We are where we are. And we might not like it, and that's okay. And I'm still going to be nice to you. So I guess that's a win for this week. This week, I am super excited because I have a guest on. This week's guest is Madina Wardak. She is a licensed mental health social worker. She's a cultural critic. She is the founder of Burqas and Beer, which is an online platform that addresses mental health issues, social issues, and political issues. And she's just one of the smartest, coolest people I've ever met. When I first started this podcast, she was one of the people I thought about bringing on because she just has so many inspiring views of the world. I mean, sure, I have opinions about many things, but oftentimes they are glib. And I don't really have the balls to talk about it because I don't know what I'm talking about. And I look at someone like Madina, who really is plugged in and is so intelligent. And it's a little intimidating because I'm like, God, she knows a lot about the world and what's going on in our society. And I don't. And sometimes I feel like even when I try to, I still don't understand the full weight of it, the full gravity of it, or the nuance of it. Madina is a huge advocate for the Afghan community, and she has a lot of really important, meaningful things to say. She is smart, she is honest, and she doesn't sugarcoat, which is one of the many reasons I wanted to bring her on. So I'm super excited for you to see our conversation. We talk about the work she does in mental health as a social worker. We talk about her advocacy for the Afghan community and the world at large. And then we just kind of talk about what she has in the pipeline and what's next for her. Yeah, I'm just really excited for you all to see it and learn more about her. So without further ado, here is my interview with Madina Wardak. I am so excited about today's guest, Miss Madina Wardak. Welcome to the podcast, Madina.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I was like dying when I found out that you are finally doing a podcast because the world needs to hear from you. So I'm super excited to be here.
Well, likewise. I first met Madina through our friend Sheila. And, you know, ever since I first met Madina, I was just infatuated. I mean, she's just so smart. She's so funny. She radiates this light.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I'm super excited about it.
Okay, so we will jump right into it. We have a little icebreaker section. Can you describe yourself in 3 words?
I was thinking about this earlier today, and I automatically was like, tough, but soft, and like melancholy. And I think that's how I'm feeling today.
Tell us a little about your journey, where you're from, what led you here, and how you found your voice.
So I always start off with where my parents are from because I think it informs so much of what I do. My family's from Afghanistan. My parents are from there. Both my sisters were born there, and they fled the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan, moved to Pakistan, then came to the States, and then I was born here. So I'm like kind of one of the first few to be born out of Afghanistan. And so I grew up very Afghan, even though we were still in Los Angeles. I didn't speak English until I was like 7. I learned it in school. And I'm actually super glad that we spoke our languages at home because it helped me to retain it. And I feel like I had a really Afghan upbringing despite being in diaspora. I think growing up and kind of seeing the impact of the war and displacement on my family, but not knowing how to name it. All of the women in my family, including extended family, were depressed. And like being on antidepressants was super normal. Popping pills was super normal because the doctor said that it's okay to do it. And then a lot of the men in my family had addiction issues or joined gangs or ended up in jail or passed away or all of the above. And so this was something that was really universal with a lot of Afghan refugees. And I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't understand what it was. I was studying political science at UC Irvine because I thought I wanted to get into law. I thought, okay, the way that I will support my country is, you know, I'll become like this international human rights lawyer and I will put the Taliban in jail and all of this stuff, you know, like that's what I wanted to do. And then I took the LSAT and it was really hard. And I'm like bougie and spoiled and I don't know how to do that much work. So
coming from the literal one of the most hard workers I've ever met. So
thank you. Thank you. But it was just a lot of like reading for me. And then I thought kind of sitting behind a desk and doing paperwork. I don't know that that's like my jam, right? And kind of during that whole time, I was exposing myself more to mental health. And I think there was also a cultural shift where we were talking more about mental health. And I learned about the concept of intergenerational trauma. And it's really opened my eyes and really helped me understand how, even though the war happened 40 years ago, the impacts of it were killing my family today. And that's kind of how I got into social work. That's why I began Burqas and Beer, which initially was just like a website. It was an online platform that I started 10 years ago. And I did it because I felt like there was not an online digital space for Afghan-Americans to talk about issues that we deal with. And so I launched Burqas and Beer. I became heavily involved with the Afghan-American community organization, which is an org that I still work with today. And then I started my master's in social work all in that same year. And so that has kind of informed where I am today, which is, doing social work and the mental health stuff and advocacy and a lot of community mental health training and things like that.
I mean, you so eloquently, perfectly teed this next question up. When I look at you, and I think so many people, when they look at you, they see someone who's so strong and confident and powerful and really kind of seems to have it all together. Can you share a little bit about a time, if ever, when you kind of had your own what am I doing moment? And was there a turning point that helped you get back into alignment? Or is there any part in your life now that still triggers that feeling of what am I doing?
Where can I begin? Because I feel like my whole life was a what am I doing? I think when you grow up and this can be said for a lot of communities, but I think when you grow up in immigrant refugee communities, you are kind of programmed from a very young age to do whatever profession is going to make you the most money and is going to give you the most stability. And you are really discouraged from going into things like the arts or writing or any type of like expressive profession. And from a really young age, my mom was like, you're going to be a doctor. That's what you're going to be. And she like molded me to kind of get into medicine as a profession. And so from a super young age, I knew that that's what I didn't want to do, but I had to do this imposter thing to make her happy. And so I had like really bad identity struggles from maybe I was 9 years old when my mom initially put me in these like magnet programs for gifted students who were trying to get into science and math and things like that. And so I really felt like an imposter for the majority of like middle school, high school, everybody around me saying they want to get into medicine. And I'm like, yeah, me too. But like knowing that I'm not going to do it, I knew the whole time I was not going to do it. I was just waiting for the moment to have the guts to tell my mom. And then I think even once I told her that I wasn't interested in medicine, I had been pretending for 18 years that that's what I was going to do. And so now I had to figure out what I'm actually going to do. And doing something like political science felt like, okay, if I'm not going to be a doctor, I'll be a lawyer. Like, you'll be happy with that, right? And so that was the whole what am I doing through college and through undergrad. The good thing at that point, at least, was I was interested in the subject, right? I was interested in political science. But I think once I got to that point of knowing I didn't want to do law when I was around 22, then I had my real what am I doing years, which is I've studied this subject, but I'm not going to go into it. What am I doing? What is going to be the next step? And I had the privilege in the sense that like I lived in my parents' home. So I had my immediate needs met. I kind of had this opportunity to self-explore, but I didn't know that what I was doing was self-exploration. I was partying a lot. I was going out all the time. I mean, I was 22, honey. I look good. I would say like for 4 years, it was like from 22 to 26, like from my bachelor's up until I got into my grad school programs. Those were my what am I doing years. And it was a lot of dipping my toe into different ponds of things that I was interested in, but I didn't know if I was going to pursue them. So I did things like working with autistic kids or like more cultural work, nonprofit work. And I think ultimately I kind of fell into social work, but it ended up working out for the best. But I think I don't know that there was one thing that got me in alignment. I don't even know that I'm in alignment now. I think it was more really trusting my gut despite what my community is going to say, despite what my parents are going to say, despite what my peers are going to say. And even though I don't know what the next step is going to be, I know that this isn't for me. And so I kind of had to be okay with floating around for a little bit. And I think that was really scary. And I don't know that I could do that now. I think now, I mean, we're also older now and now we got bills and shit. I think ultimately it was just really trusting my gut I think that pushed me to where I am and helped me get out of that what am I doing phase.
What do you think helps you to trust your gut? Or what do you think gives you the confidence to hold on to that, even when you have so much noise on the outside telling you to go this way? Because, I know that's certainly something I struggle with and a lot of people struggle with. Can I trust this,
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when you've gone through trauma or you've grown up in certain environments, a lot of times it's difficult to discern between what is a trauma response or anxiety and what is your gut. And I think for me, a lot of it was writing things down on paper, pros and cons lists, consulting with people that I really love and trust, and not everybody. I think sometimes when you're in your early 20s, or even up until now, when you are someone like you who has so many great, amazing friends, and like myself, we're really extroverted. I think sometimes I operated with like, my business is everybody's business. And so I got to ask everybody what I should do next. And I got to make it everybody's business about how I'm confused and whatever. A lot of times it was just like thinking about making these moves to myself and just kind of journaling to myself and just really trying to figure out outside of everybody's expectations, what would I want to do? And I think being able to connect with that inner compass is what allows me to discern between what is my gut and what is fear-based.
Period. Okay. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. One of the most amazing guests to have on to discuss this. What do you see people struggling with the most lately?
I think because of the state of the world and there's so many horrible things happening, but also we have so much access to the information. We have screens everywhere and we're constantly bombarded with headlines. And that's the point of all of this, right? Is to make us confused and scared and make us question like what's real and what's not. I think a lot of people are just feeling really lost. If this was a couple of years ago, maybe I would say people are having more of an awakening around mental health. And so they're self-diagnosing. And so what I'm seeing more of is people being like, am I depressed? Am I anxious? Or trying to name things like that. But I think kind of what I've been seeing lately is a lot of people just feeling like, what is the point of everything? And where is my place in this world? And I definitely have struggled with that, with what is happening globally and also what's happening here. I mean, I live in downtown Los Angeles, and I've seen 2 medical examiner ambulances in the past week. The treatment of houseless people and folks who suffer from mental health issues in this country is deplorable. And I think when we see the way we're treating each other in our streets and on our screens, it is giving all of us kind of this human reflex of like, what's happening? What's going on? And I think the fact that all of us are feeling this way, or a lot of us are feeling this way, is a really good sign, because it's showing us that our humanity is screaming at us and telling us that something is wrong. And for me, you know this, and the audience will now know this. My father passed away in September 2023, and he was a big, big, big part of my life and a motivator and a grounding force in my life. And so I think lately, with seeing folks struggle with kind of the same thing, I think the best remedy, at least for me, has been like being in community, but for a purpose. I think that there is something to be said about community gatherings and just having fun and doing things like that. But it's really helped me to place this confusion into something that's tangible. And so what I've been doing is monthly fundraisers to support one family in Gaza and one family in Altadena who lost their homes from the fires. And having that tangible, I know that if I do this, it's going to help this person in this way, grounding me and making sense of things. And so whenever folks ask me, like, hey, I have all of these confused feelings and I don't really know what to do and I feel super helpless, everybody has their own place in this fight. And my fight doesn't have to be yours. And my role in it doesn't have to be yours. If you're a cook, or a chef, then your role is to feed the people who are on the front lines or whatever it is. All of that to say, we can all kind of take those confusions of feeling lost and maybe support each other to find a path to move forward and help each other, because they're not going to help us. They're not doing it, they government, whoever, whatever, world leaders, whatever you want to call it. So we need to fill in those gaps.
It makes me think about 12 step. I mean, so much of the crux of 12 step is about the spiritual part of it, whatever that looks like for you, but ultimately being of service. You know, how can we get out of ourselves and be of service and help those around us, especially when we're feeling caught up in ourselves, me meaning alcoholics, addicts, all the things. But yeah, thank you for your service, because that's one of the many things I admire about you is your selflessness and just your heart.
You do the same thing, Donnie. Every time you come into a room, just your smile and your spirit, and you know, we're all doing it. We're all trying, but you do an excellent job of it.
What is one misconception about mental health you would love to clear up?
I think maybe a big misconception is I think some people think that you have to have some very obvious or a type of mental health issue that is super pervasive in your life. And most people don't notice the smaller signs of poor mental health or of mental health that is not being taken care of well. You know, like what I'm saying is our understanding of addiction has grown. So an addict is not just the person that you see on the corner that has lost everything because they want their next fix. An addict is also the person who is the weekend warrior and goes hard on the weekends, but can maintain a Monday through Friday job. Someone who's depressed can be the person who is the CEO driving a luxury car and blah, blah, blah. And it can also be the person who is very visibly depressed. And so I think the biggest misconception of mental health is it's not going to happen to me. Like poor mental health won't happen to me. I don't look like that, whatever that is. And so I always try to keep that mental health hat on at home when I'm in social settings, because I'll be around people and they'll describe a behavior that they have. And I'm like, baby, you sound like you might need to be diagnosed for bipolar, but I'm not your clinician. I'm your friend. So all I can do is, if folks ask me, is kind of help people reflect on their behavior and reflect on like, hey, is that something that maybe you do want to go talk to a licensed professional about? I know so many people who are functioning and are professionals and are, you know, in regular social circles, but they have pretty deep mental health issues and just don't have maybe the language or the education to be able to identify it. I would say that's probably the biggest misconception. That's something that wouldn't happen to me.
Yeah, period. Yes. How do you care for your mental health, even when you're the one oftentimes holding space for others?
Yeah, for sure. That was such a lifelong learning process for me. And it's something that they talk so much about whenever you are in a helping profession, like a nurse or social work or whatever it is. They constantly talk about pouring into your own cup and self-care and all of this stuff. But I think that a lot of people who are in helping professions already have a really high threshold for stress. Sometimes just because I know that I'm naming my feelings, or I know that I am aware of what's going on, but I can handle it. You know, that's like my thought process in my head. Well, at least I can name it. So I must be able to handle it until I wake up and I have alopecia and I have bald spots on my head, or until I drink a little bit too much one weekend and I'm like, holy shit, I haven't drank as much as I have this weekend in years. It would come out in those ways for me, where I'm so high functioning and I'm able to hold it all together. But it's not until something big happens that I'm realizing, no, I am dealing with too much. So what has really helped me lately is, even if I can do something, I won't do it. Even if I have the time, and even if I had the space in my passion planner, you know, when my Outlook calendar, cool, I got that 1 hour free. Let me fill it in with going to do X, Y, and Z. These days, I haven't been. I have purposely said no to a lot of things, even like fun social gatherings, because just having space to sit in silence and to be by myself and to really allow, I'm spiritual, so kind of to allow the words of the divine and of whatever else is outside of ourselves to speak to me outside of all the noise, has just made me feel so much more present and able to really focus on the things that I do have on my plate. So instead of spreading myself thin, I'm trying to focus on just a handful of things and do those things really well. On top of that, I'm on my antidepressants that I've been on, funny.
Period. Same.
Been on these antidepressants and they're not for everybody, but they've helped me manage. I see my therapist once a week and I do my prayer every day. I try to read once a day and I try to do my nighttime skin routine nightly. And if I can hit like those 3 or 4 things in a week, I'm happy.
Such a beautiful reminder. Okay, switching gears a bit, you are such a strong advocate for the Afghan community and for social justice in general. What drives that passion for you?
Seeing people who don't deserve bad things. I mean, nobody deserves bad things. But when you come from a place where you so intimately know how rich the culture is and how much Afghanistan has given the world, every culture and every community has contributed to the fabric of what it means to be human. And unfortunately, because of the national security policy of this country, a lot of places that are great contributors to the human story are destroyed and have been destroyed. And so growing up knowing that I come from such a rich and important place and seeing it being treated so poorly always made me feel like I have to do something constructive with the anger and with the betrayal, because ultimately the world has betrayed Afghans. And all I can do as somebody with privilege of not being back home and being in diaspora, of having the ability to speak English and having the education, quote unquote, I feel like I've been tasked with this and I take that task on with great joy. And I feel like it's my duty to show and not even convince the world, right? It's not about convincing, but it's about reminding the world that you cannot treat people this way. And whether that is the LGBTQIA community, or it is the BIPOC community, or it's Afghans, or it's Palestinians, or it's whoever, none of us should feel like it's okay that there is this kind of social stratification in the world. And so I will continue to be the annoying Afghan friend that will constantly remind you, did you know that was Afghan? Did you know Afghans did that? Did you know that actually came from Afghanistan?
I love it. I love it. How do you stay grounded in your truth, especially if and when your views can feel polarizing?
Excellent question. A couple of years ago, there was an attempt to cancel me from my own community. And part of the reasoning of that was a really big trauma response to the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan and people feeling like my opinions were apologetic of the Taliban or they were not critical enough. And I understand why people felt that way. Everybody comes in with their own background and their own experience of what it means to be Afghan. And it was a really hard time for me because people that I personally knew had read so many things online that they felt like they couldn't even work with me. And I had to go through maybe almost a year of feeling really betrayed by my community, but then kind of like sitting with it and thinking about maybe how I contributed to that. And not necessarily in a negative way. I think everybody operates the best that they can with what they know. But it taught me I don't always have to react. And I can pause and I can take time to think about what my thoughts are or my opinions are going to be about a certain topic. And so people, especially the Afghan community, often look to me to be like, hey, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? This thing is happening. What's your statement? Or what do you think? And what I've tried to do is 1, point people to folks who might know better than me. And 2, just kind of give an opinion or formulate thoughts that really take into consideration everyone's side. And I feel like if I've done that and then it's still polarizing, then that says something about our culture because it shouldn't be a big deal or it shouldn't be a polarizing opinion that a genocide is bad. Or to name something a genocide. That shouldn't be polarizing. And if that offends people, then that says something about our culture. But I can say that I've made that statement with the information and it just is what it is. To answer your question, thinking before I react, taking time to really inform myself, educate myself about the issue, and then present a viewpoint that, despite whether or not it's going to be polarizing, it's one that's informed with my gut, with the truth, and with something that, is considering people's humanity.
Have you ever had to wrestle with how much to share publicly?
Yeah, absolutely. That has always been a struggle of mine. I think, especially as a female identifying person, as somebody who has really been in the community for a long time, front facing in that sense. And social media is all about sharing. And in Middle Eastern culture and in a lot of cultures, the concept of the evil eye is like a big thing for us. It's this belief that the more you put out about your happiness, the more your happiness is at risk, because people are going to see it, they're going to be jealous, and then they're going to evil eye you. And so I would fall into that pattern of thinking of like, damn, because I put X, Y, and Z on social media, that's why that thing got taken away from me, or whatever it is. I think where I'm at now is I understand the responsibility of having the platform that I do in the community that I have it in. I will only share things that I feel like are going to be helpful for people. Sometimes I will share things that maybe feel like an emotional catharsis for me, and that's fine. It gets to be what I want it to look like. It's my page. But things like my grief journey, things like my struggles with mental health or my struggles with identity, I would rather share that than maybe my romantic partner or nuclear family issues. Things that are really personal, I don't share those anymore. And I used to put my boyfriends on social media. I used to, I think, maybe be a little more open about what was happening in my personal life. And now I think what I do more is talk about the themes that maybe I'm experiencing, but I don't go into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think that there's something sacred about the nitty gritty. That's for us. Not everybody needs to know everything that we're feeling.
My therapist just told me I need to wheel it in. I like to overshare sometimes. So what are you working on currently that people should know about?
Love this question, because I'm doing what Donnie Barry did and I'm working on podcasts, baby. So super excited. The Burqas and Beer pod will be launching this summer. And you can follow Burqas and Beer pod on Instagram for updates about that. So that, I would say that that's like the main thing I'm working on right now.
Now, for those who don't know, Madina is also, as you mentioned earlier, one of the most creative, talented people in all of these areas.
Thank you.
Any creative things you're thinking about doing, you might want to work on, you might want to get into?
I can't necessarily, you know what? I have a whole iPhone note of like real ideas and sketch ideas. So maybe just stay tuned. Stay tuned. The pod is definitely in the immediate pipeline. It's happening. It's coming out now. If I build myself up a little more, you might see a sketch or two. Let's see.
Can't wait. I can't wait. So good.
And I'm going to need your help.
Whatever you need, girl. I got you. Rapid fire round.
I'm scared.
Favorite karaoke song?
Oh, Gangsta's Paradise. Duh. You've seen me do this, Donnie. You already know. My 32nd birthday.
Let me tell you something. There is not a karaoke song Madina has met that she can't and won't do. Mm-mm. And as an audience member, won't do well. Okay? Yes. Okay. She knows every vocal riff. She knows every harmony.
Oh my God.
I'm like, girl, you trying to get a record deal? Because
Dad, I am Dad.
That should be in the pop line too. Because, homegirl got some pipes.
I love you. This is feeding me right now. You don't understand. I am waiting for this next check to hit because I got the best karaoke machine waiting in my cart. It's going to be in this house, baby. We're going to be doing karaoke all summer.
I can't wait. Go-to comfort food.
Mac and cheese.
Really?
Macaroni and cheese. And also anything like chocolate, like decadent.
Book you think everyone should read?
The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I've read that book so many times and it still hits like the first time.
A dream vacation spot.
I recently have really been wanting to do like a tour of the whole Mediterranean. So take me to Greece, take me to Italy, take me to Lebanon, take me to Turkey, take me to Spain, take me to North Africa. I want to touch every part of the Mediterranean Sea.
Yes. Most used emoji.
Let's see. My most used emoji is definitely like the two eyes, like the staring eyes, because I'm always like,
Yes.
yeah.
What about your most used app?
My most used app. I think maybe outside of Instagram, because I've actually tried my best to not be on Instagram so much. I think that Instagram or the iPhone notes, I just be jotting shit all the time.
First concert.
Gosh, I don't even remember. It must have been some like Afghan concert that I was dragged to by my parents. But I can tell you like most memorable concert was definitely Coachella 2011, I think. Yeah, I saw, I want to say Tiesto and Cascade, and it was a life-changing moment for me, for sure.
But that's like when Coachella was like at its prime too.
It was like the best and still affordable. Yeah.
Right, that part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Advice you still live by.
Access to your energy is a privilege. People's access to your energy is a privilege.
Something people get wrong about you.
Lord, what do people get wrong about me? I think maybe that I'm tougher than I am. I don't really know how to deconstruct that. But I'm like a sensitive Sally. I'm a Cancer sun, Cancer moon. And so I'm in my feels a lot. And you guys just don't understand. And you guys need to understand.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say probably that.
What is something very weird you do?
Something very weird that I do. I talk to myself all the time. Out loud. My boyfriend constantly thinks I'm talking to him. And I'm like, why would I say just one word to you? That was me, strawberry. I gotta eat a strawberry. And I'm like, it'll be a full sentence if I'm talking to you. But if it's a phrase or if it's a word, that was me talking to myself. And now I've been doing it in the grocery store and people have been turning around and looking at me and I'm like, oh my God. But I live in downtown LA, so I just mesh in with everybody else talking to themselves.
Yeah, and I bet you get your whole list too. So
yes,
that's what it is.
Exactly. It helps me sort through the brain fog, okay?
Okay, Madina, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being you, sharing so much of your light, for all the work you do for us and the countless communities and just groups of people that deserve it. You are truly amazing. And thank you so much for being on the podcast. And please remind the folks again of where we can find you, where we can connect with you.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram. My personal page is Burqas and Beer. You can follow the podcast at Burqas and Beer Pod. Yeah, and just stay tuned. I'm really excited for the summer. You guys will also be seeing Donnie on the pod too, because I'm for sure going to have you. I had a very, very good time today. I wanted to let you know. And this just got me so excited for the summer and seeing you soon. And you're doing an amazing thing, Donnie. And people are they're going to gain a lot from your pod. So I'm super happy for you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Yay. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, that wraps up this week's episode of the What Am I Doing podcast with me, your host, Donnie Berry. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did enjoy the episode, be sure to like, subscribe, share it with all your friends, and feel free to reach out to me. I have a website, www.donnieberry.com. That's www.donnieberry.com. On my website, there's links to all of my socials. There's links to all the different ways you can watch and or listen to this podcast. And most importantly, at the bottom of the page, there's a section titled Hit Me Up. There you can send me a message and let's connect. A huge thank you to Madina for coming on and sharing so openly. I always leave our conversations feeling seen, feeling grounded, and feeling a little bit smarter. If you got something out of this episode, definitely let her know and send her some love too. I am so grateful for her. All right, and that's it for this week's episode. Sending you all light, love, and very good vibes. See you next time.